lose it 40 times before lunch. Not your job, not your money, your mind. Your phone lights up, and you follow it like a dog chasing a car it can never catch. Ping, look. Ping, look. You call this being busy. It is not busy. It is broken. And you have been calling the wound a personality trait for years. Somewhere in this city, another mind sits across a chessboard for 6 hours without touching a phone that does not exist in that room. He is not smarter than you. He was not born with a mind you were denied. He was trained, restricted, and rebuilt through a war against noise you have never fought a single day of your life. You have been told to focus more. That is not advice. That is an insult dressed up as help, thrown at you by people who have never lost a battle to their own attention span. You do not need more willpower. Willpower is a finite tank you keep trying to refill with coffee and guilt. You need a different weapon entirely, one that does not run out by 2 in the afternoon. This is not a productivity video. This is not a life hack. This is the cold architecture inside a Grandmaster's skull, the one that turns 64 empty squares into a battlefield he can read faster than you can read a text message. Translated for the war you are already losing at your desk, in your relationships, and in the 4 seconds it takes you to abandon a single uninterrupted thought. Machiavelli wrote that a wise prince relies on what is in his own control. Your attention is the last territory you actually own. Everything else they can take. Your time, sold by the hour. Your income, taxed before you see it. Your reputation, decided by strangers. But the inside of your skull, that is the one fortress handed to you at birth, and for years you have left the gate open for anyone with a notification to walk straight through it. By the end of this, you will understand the 5 phases that turn a scattered mind into a weapon. You will not enjoy phase 2. Do it anyway. And there is one ritual, run by nearly every Grandmaster in the seconds before a match, that almost nobody outside competitive chess has ever heard explained out loud. We will get to it. You are not ready for it yet. Let's begin. Phase 1. The trained eye. An amateur looks at a chessboard and sees 64 squares of pure possibility. Every piece a small parade of options fanning out in every direction. A Grandmaster looks at the same board and sees 4 moves, sometimes 5. Everything else has already been deleted before it reached conscious thought. This is not talent. Nobody is born seeing 4 moves instead of 40. This is a mind that has been trained, deliberately and for years, to delete faster than it perceives. You do the exact opposite every single day. You let every square of your life stay open at once. The email sitting unread like a small debt. The group chat lighting up in your pocket. The show still playing quietly in the other tab. The argument from this morning still running in the background like a program you forgot to close before you left the house. You are not focusing. You are hosting 64 open windows at once and calling the resulting headache multitasking, as if exhaustion were a skill. Here's what they never tell you about Grandmasters. It is not that they see more of the board. It is that they have built a total contempt for almost all of it. Contempt, in chess, is not an insult. It is a filtering system. The Grandmaster has contempt for 90% of the 64 squares because he has trained himself to know, on sight, that they cannot decide the game. You need that same contempt for 90% of what interrupts you. Consider the sniper and the crowd. A sniper does not scan a street the way a tourist does, drinking in every storefront and stranger. A sniper's eye moves like a blade, discarding everything except the one window, the one silhouette the one variable that matters. A tourist's eye and a sniper's eye look at the exact same street and see two different worlds. You have been living with a tourist's eye pointed at your own life, marveling at every distraction as though it deserved your wonder. Stop asking what deserves your attention today. That question is too generous. It assumes most things start with a claim on you. Start asking what has actually earned it. Most of what interrupts you has earned nothing. It simply arrived uninvited, and you let it in, because saying no felt ruder to a stranger's notification than losing your own mind felt to you. This is not about willpower. This is not about a productivity app that turns your phone gray and promises the color itself was the enemy. This is not about a system you download and abandon in 11 days. This is about building a contempt for noise so total, so complete, that noise eventually stops bothering to knock, because it has learned, the way prey learns a territory is guarded, that nothing gets in for free anymore. The Grandmaster was not handed this eye. He built it, one discarded position at a time, thousands of hours before anyone was watching, deleting bad options so fast and so often that deletion itself became instinct. You can build the same eye. It will not happen by wanting it. It happens by refusing today to let one more unearned thing through your gate. Phase 2, the silence discipline. You feel it, don't you? The itch, the phantom buzz in a pocket where nothing actually buzzed. That is not a quirky habit. That is withdrawal. You built an addiction to interruption over years of practice, one refresh at a time, and then told yourself it was simply how modern life works now. Before a match, a Grandmaster does not warm up by scrolling through anything. He sits, sometimes for 20 minutes, doing what looks, to an outsider, like nothing at all. It is not nothing. It is a nervous system deliberately lowering itself out of the noise everyone else lives in permanently, back down to a frequency where an actual thought can take root and grow before it gets cut down. Machiavelli wrote that everyone sees what you appear to be, and few ever experience what you really are. You appear productive.
Time equals 0.5 seconds / greater than. Notifications answered within seconds. Always reachable. Always on it. A small green dot broadcasting your availability to the entire world at every hour. What you really are is a mind that has not had a single unbroken hour of silence in years. Nobody sees that part. You have hidden it well, even from yourself, behind the performance of being busy. Read this twice. Silence is not the absence of stimulation. Silence is the presence of your own mind, finally uninterrupted long enough to hear itself think in complete sentences again. You have been so loud for so long that you no longer remember what your own thinking sounds like without a notification underneath it. The wolf does not check a phone that does not exist for it. The wolf does not need external validation every 4 minutes to remember that it is, in fact, a wolf. It hunts in silence, because silence is where the actual kill happens, in the stillness before the strike, not in the noise before it. You have been living like prey instead, flinching at every sound, mistaking hypervigilance for alertness, mistaking constant reaction for constant readiness. There is a cost here, and I will not pretend there isn't. The first days of real silence feel like agony. Your hand will reach for the phone that is not there the way a smoker's hand reaches for a pocket that used to hold a pack. This is where most people bleed out. They mistake the discomfort of withdrawal for proof that the silence isn't working, and they reach back for the noise the moment it gets hard, which is exactly the moment it was starting to work. This is not about deleting every app on your phone in a fit of dramatic reinvention that lasts 4 days. This is not about a digital detox retreat you post about afterward. This is not about performing discipline for an audience. This is about rebuilding, in private, a nervous system that can sit in a quiet room without reaching for something to fill it. Because a mind that cannot tolerate silence will never tolerate depth. Phase 3, the depth chamber. A Grandmaster in a tournament game will sit over a single position for 40 minutes. One position. Meanwhile, you cannot sit with one open email for 40 seconds without your thumb sliding to a second tab, then a third, then back to the first one you never actually finished reading. This is not a time management problem. Time management is what people reach for when they are too afraid to name the real problem, which is that they have never gone deep enough into any single task to know what real depth even feels like anymore. But it gets worse. Every time you switch tasks, you do not switch cleanly. You leave a residue behind, a fragment of the last thing still occupying a room in your mind while you try to move into the next one, carrying half your furniture with you. Do this 40 times in a day, and you are not living one full day. You are living 40 shattered fragments of a day, none of them deep enough to produce anything that outlives the hour it was made in. The depth chamber is simple, and it is brutal. One task, one board, a closed door. No permission to leave until the position is understood, not glanced at, not skimmed. Understood, the way a Grandmaster understands a threat 3 moves before it arrives.
This is not about being busy for an hour. This is not about looking productive for an hour so someone notices the effort. This is not about feeling virtuous for an hour and calling it a win. This is about going somewhere in your mind that shallow people never visit, and staying there long enough to bring something real back with you. The car loan, disguised as success, has a cousin, and it lives here too. The calendar, disguised as depth. A day crammed with 15 meetings looks, from the outside, like the fullest kind of importance. It is often the emptiest. 15 shallow contacts will never add up to one deep hour. The same way 15 thin coats of paint will never equal one that was actually allowed to dry. Most people quit right before this starts working. The first 20 minutes of real depth feel like agony. Your mind clawing at the inside of the door to get back to the noise it was raised on. Push through that door anyway, and something shifts on the other side of it. The noise stops calling as loudly. You have crossed into territory the scattered mind never reaches, because the scattered mind always turns back at exactly this point, mistaking the discomfort of depth for proof it should return to the shallows. Understand what is actually at stake here. This is not just about finishing a task faster. This is not just about looking sharper in a meeting. This is about whether, 20 years from now, you have built one deep body of skill that nobody can take from you, or 40,000 shallow fragments that add up to nothing anyone will remember, including you. Phase 4, the pattern vault. Ask a Grandmaster how he found, in 3 seconds, a move that took you an hour to even understand, and he will tell you something that sounds almost insulting in its simplicity. He has seen this pattern before. Not this exact position,
Not these exact pieces, but this shape, this family of danger, thousands of times, across thousands of games, until his mind built a vault so deep that recognition replaced calculation entirely. This is the real secret behind what looks, from the outside, like genius. It is not a bigger brain, it is a fuller vault. The accumulated science on expertise is blunt about this. Elite performers are not running faster calculations in real time. They are recognizing patterns, their training already logged. Thousands of small exposures, compounding until the mind starts working faster than conscious thought can follow. The Grandmaster is not smarter than you in the moment the move appears. He is faster because he has already lived that moment, or its close cousin, hundreds of times before you ever sat down at the board. Here is where most people bleed out, and this is the part that stings. They want the 3-second decision without the 10,000 slow, boring, unfilmed decisions that built it. They want the vault without ever making a single deposit into it. There is no shortcut into the vault. There is only repetition, deliberate and often joyless, continued long after it stopped being fun and long after anyone was watching to applaud it. This is not just about chess, and it was never only about chess. This is about every decision you will make under real pressure for the rest of your life. The negotiation where you have 4 seconds to answer. The argument where the wrong word ends something. The moment your work is one bad call away from collapse. The person with the fuller vault wins those moments. Not the person with the higher intelligence measured on a test. The person who did the boring repetitions nobody was filming, back when there was no proof yet that any of it would pay off. Think of the coworker who has worked the same job for 20 years and still freezes under pressure the way he did on day 1. He was in the room for 2 decades. He made no deposits. Presence without deliberate repetition builds nothing. It only passes time. Compare him to the newer hire who trained the hard scenarios on purpose, alone, after hours, when nobody was grading her for it. Time in the room means nothing. Deliberate deposits into the vault mean everything. Every uncomfortable repetition you do today, unfilmed and unapplauded, is a deposit the untrained mind cannot make. Because the untrained mind quit the moment it stopped feeling good. The vault does not care how you felt while you built it. It only cares that you kept making deposits. Phase 5, the cold mind. This is the climax, and this is the part I promised you at the start. There is a ritual most Grandmasters run in the seconds before a match that almost nobody talks about. Because from the outside it looks like nothing happened at all. Before the clock starts, before a single piece moves, the Grandmaster clears the board inside his own mind. Every previous game, every previous loss sitting uninvited in the corner, every distraction idling in the parking lot of his skull. Gone. Not suppressed, not white-knuckled into silence. Cleared. Deliberately, the way you would clear a table before starting real work on it. That is the ritual. A rehearsed, practiced erasure of everything except the 64 squares directly in front of him. You, meanwhile, walk into your hardest hours carrying yesterday's argument, tomorrow's bill, and a notification from an hour ago, all stacked on top of the one thing you are actually supposed to be doing right now. The Grandmaster walks in with nothing but the board. That is not a gift he was born with. That is a rehearsed discipline nobody ever offered to teach you. Machiavelli wrote that fortune is the arbiter of half our actions, but the other half, or perhaps even more, is left for us to govern. You cannot control the chaos arriving at your door today. The bad news, the unfair email, the thing that breaks at the worst possible hour. You can control whether you meet it with a mind full of static or a mind cleared like a board before the first move. That is the entire game. Not the removal of pressure, which never actually goes away for anyone, ever. The removal of everything that is not the pressure directly in front of you. This is not about chess, and it was never really about chess. This is not about one clever mental trick you use once and forget. This is not about optimizing a calendar until every minute is accounted for and none of them are actually lived in. This is about becoming the kind of mind that can clear the board on command. In a boardroom, in a crisis, in the middle of the worst week of your year, and still find the move. The scattered version of you has to die today, not tomorrow, not after one more scroll through one more feed. Today. In its place stands someone who treats attention like territory worth defending, with contempt for anyone who tries to take it for free. Someone who has traded the comfort of constant noise for the cold, quiet advantage almost nobody else in the room has bothered to build. There is a price for this, and I will not hide it from you. Isolation from the noise looks, from the outside, like coldness. People will call you distant for closing the door. They will take your silence personally because your discipline is a quiet accusation against their own. Let them. The wolf does not apologize for hunting alone, and it does not explain the hunt to the sheep watching from the fence. What comes after Phase 5 is not something you download in a weekend. Deliberate repetition. The kind that built the vault in Phase 4 has no shortcut, no matter how badly the internet wants to sell you one. But the door is the same door it has always been. Silence on one side, noise on the other. You already know which side you have been living on. If you are done being owned by every buzz in your pocket, comment, "I clear the board," below. Not for me, for yourself, as the first proof that the old, scattered version of you is actually gone. What you do with that proof next is no longer my concern. The rest of what separates a club player from a true Grandmaster does not live in a 15-minute video. It lives in the repetitions nobody ever filmed. Subscribe if you want the next phase of this training, because an untrained mind rarely gets invited back for what comes after this one. Protect your attention. I will see you on the other side of the board.